Okay, what's going on, y'all? Mike check is Shantae Arnett. We're in the building. Well, we're in a different building. Excuse the background. We're in a different location today. I'm out here in the country. Um, my baby daddy then came off tour, so I'm laid up for the next couple days, but I'm still gonna make sure to get these videos out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming. Thank y'all so much for coming back. If you're new to my channel, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all those things the YouTubers say, and all those buttons and clicks that people tell you to press. If you're returning to my channel, hey girl, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back, and I appreciate every single one of y'all. Shout out to all the new subscribers I've gained. Shout out to all the people watching. Shout out to all the people who share. Shout out to all the people who are seeing this for the first time. Okay, you've tuned in to a POC POV. This is episode 4, and today I want to talk about the attributes, characteristics, talents of African American people that are in some cases praised, put on pedestals, even taken and manipulated. Um, some people will call it culturally appropriated. And in the same breath, we are shunned or regulated for. You know what I mean? I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the things that make black people great that can fuel white people's hate. Okay? There are a lot of talents and attributes that black people possess that have been put on pedestals for a long time. Talents, characteristics, swag, personality, ways of handling things. We've been put on pedestals for the way that we carry ourselves for a long time. But yet, as much as we've been appropriated, we've also been regulated, mandated, and held back from being our natural and authentic selves in ways that could be ways to just regulate the way that we operate so that white people could come in and take our swag and do what we do and call it fashion and call it something new instead of what it actually is and erase our history? Or is it something that is old mentalities that we aren't removed far enough from the oppression to have a clear understanding of what it is that's happening? Does that make sense? I want to give some examples of just things that I notice and things that have been talked about in the media that are stereotypically things that black people have been praised for, but then I want to go behind that and go deeper and show you the ways that those same characteristics and talents have been taken from us, and either we've been shunned for it or it's been taken and made something different and it's called something new. Do you understand? I have a few examples. You know, I make notes, I take details, I do all type of things. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk about the catch 22 of being black in America. That's what this whole series is about. So, for example, I want to talk about hair. That's the first thing, that's the easiest thing that I can talk about. It's the quickest way to make this point. Hair. You know, very specifically, braids have come in and out of fashion over the years, from Bo Derek doing Bengali braids in whatever year the movie 10 came out, down to the Kardashians recreating the Bengali braids and calling it Bo Derek braids, or talking about they want boxer braids and they want box braids, girl. Just, okay. Um, Black hair is something that is so taken, so appropriated, so manipulated. How many times have you seen white women in afros at the 70s party? How many times have you seen, you know, your homies in the cornrows and Justin Timberlake doing cornrows back in the day and all this other, you know, all these other things and all these other examples? But what people don't seem to understand is that black hair has also been regulated and it's been mandated and it's been a source of contention for people to get jobs and remain in schools. Like there are literal stories out of people who have not been able to get jobs, who have not been able to who have been put out of schools, who have been asked to change their hair, who have asked their parents to change their children's hair because their hair is in braids, dreadlocks, afro puffs, things of this nature. We've been put out of schools and been put out of jobs for having dreads, told that we're not going to get a job if we have dreadlocks, told that we're not going to get a job if we have braids, told that we're not going to get a job if we have an afro. But yet, when it's appropriate for a fashion perspective or when it's appropriate for a Caucasian narrative, then all of a sudden braids are fashion. Braids are fancy, girl. Braids are everything. I want to go and pay $500 down to the white girls to get my braids done wrong and have some ugly ass beads put on them. You know, it's crazy because in the 1960s there was a movement that formulated within the civil rights movement, and it was the Black Beauty movement. And one of its leaders is one of my idols. Her name is Kathleen Cleaver. I'm going to link a video in the description box that you guys can look at. And it's her talking about black hair. And the Black Beauty movement started when black people in the 60s wanted to take back control and mandate over their hair. And they started specifically wearing their hair in afros to show that hair in its natural state, in its natural context, is beautiful and it's gorgeous and it's fashion and it's sickening and it's great when it's done by black people. You know what I'm saying? This is before we started getting appropriated in fashion. But this is before we started getting appropriated in fashion specifically. I want to be very specific about that. But it was a way for black people to show that our hair is beautiful and that our natural characteristics are beautiful and that we're going to stand up and take back what is ours and show that we don't have to assimilate to European features or Caucasian standards to get by or to get on. And that is something that I ended up directly putting into my drag at one point. I decided to exclusively only wear my afro wigs when I'm doing drag because I wanted to align myself with the black beauty movement of the 60s to express my frustration with stereotypical beauty standards that were being placed on drag queens. And as I was discovering my non binary identity and my queendom, I just became frustrated with being told that I have to subscribe to norms to accelerate in an industry that was supposed to be about individualistic beauty. That's another video. Moving on. We can talk about music. There's a lot of examples that I have for music. You know what I'm saying? Black people are praised for being innately talented, and we're praised for contributing to music in a way that is dominating. You know what I'm saying? Rap music is the highest selling genre of music in this time and has been for quite a few amount of years. Quite an amount of years. Sorry. That wasn't sounding right in my head, and I was going to say it until I got it right. For quite an amount of years, rap music has been the highest selling genre and the most impactful. If you look at pop culture and who is most influential in music, prime example, Lizzo has 8 Grammy nominations right now. Congratulations. Lil Nas X is breaking records all over award season. Congratulations. Beyonce is probably the most influential female singer, like currently out right now. Do you know what I mean? Um, and I mean like in a current state of actively making music. Because as I was saying that, I thought about Madonna, and I was like, yes, Madonna probably overall is one of the most impactful singers still putting out music today. Janet Jackson is another. But in a current state of where we are in today's music society, Beyonce probably has it wrapped up. Um, in an overall well-rounded performer's aspect, she has it wrapped up. You don't get comparisons to Michael Jackson if you're not doing it. Do you know what I mean? Usually when a female singer gets compared to a legend, it's compared to another female singer. You know, most of the time the females are compared to Janet Jackson. But the fact that she surpassed that and being compared to Michael, and the fact that she pretty much is like a direct descendant of Tina Turner, but that's an entirely different story. Black music is by far, black talent in music has by far been some of the most impactful presences in the past however many decades music has been going on. You know what I'm saying? Just for example, you know, we come up with the latest dances to take the internet by storm. Name a I can't, well, I'm sure that one can be named, but I can't personally name a dance craze that was created by anybody that wasn't black in the past 20 years. I'm 28 now, and I've seen a lot of dance crazes come out in the past 20 years, and I haven't seen one that was created by a white person. Okay, but on the flip side of that, while we have created the latest dance crazes, black dancers had to create the chitlin circuit back in the day because we weren't good enough to be booked in white spaces. Do you know what I mean? Um, this is what we come from. We come from having to demean and reduce ourselves to comic fodder for the entertainment of white people to make a living in spaces where we wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to entertain, we wanted to sing, dance, we wanted to go on the road, and we wanted to perform. But systematic racism was in fuller effect than it is now. You know what I'm saying? And we weren't allowed to perform in certain spaces. So we had to create our own circuit to go out and reach our own people with our own talents. That's where the chitlin circuit comes from. Yet, blackface became all the rage. And white people felt it prudent to not only take our style of dance and trivialize it, but go so far as to mimic our skin complexion, to reduce us to comic relief. Do you know what I mean? Manipulating and taking our talents to entertain people who thought that we were less than. This is what we come from. So every time, if there are any entertainers listening to me right now, I want you to take a moment to realize any black entertainers, any entertainers that are of color, I want you to take a moment to listen to me, and I want you to take a second to step back and appreciate every time you step on a stage the freedom that you are getting to express. Because even as drag entertainers, we get to step on stages in pure, unadulterated freedom. And that's something that we have had to struggle, fight, and strive for. I want every single person of color who is an entertainer to take a second and thank the Josephine Bakers, thank the Dorothy Dandridges, thank the Eartha Kitts who came before us, thank the Sidney Poitiers, thank the James Earl Joneses, thank the Lena Hornes who came before us, who made it possible for us to step on these stages easily. You know what I'm saying? Watch the Josephine Baker story sometime. Watch the Dorothy Dandridge story sometime. I'm sorry, watch the Josephine Baker story sometime. Watch Introducing Dorothy Dandridge sometime. You'll learn a lot about where we as African American entertainers come from and the shoulders that we stand on. Look up Eartha Kitt on YouTube sometime when she made it prudent to say that Black Lives Mattered in 1968, talking to Lady Bird Johnson about why we were being sent over to Korea to be murdered but not being taken care of in our own country. Sorry, I went off on a rant. But dances, you know what I'm saying? Like we come up with the latest dances, but we come from being reduced to hole in the wall venues on back roads because we had to create our own circuits and our own venues to perform at because we were looked at as less than. Okay? Even in Hollywood, where black actresses were, up until probably a very recent amount of time, were reduced to playing whores, junkies, maids to get roles in movies. I go back to the Dorothy Dandridge movie, Introducing Dorothy Dandridge, and you look at a scene in the movie where Dorothy Dandridge is on a date with with one of the Nicholas brothers, and her mother, who's played by Loretta Devine in the movie, she's on screen because they're on a date at the movie theater, and her mother is in the movie. And the Nicholas brother, I think it's Harold Nicholas. Harold is trying to basically, like, he's bored with the movie. He's not paying any attention. He's just trying to really talk her out them draws, and he's trying to get her back to the crib real quick so he can pull her to the side and slide through. But she's trying to watch the movie and actually enjoy the date because she's a virgin. She don't know no better. She's just trying to actually have a good time with this man who she think likes her. At any rate, he gets real ignorant and says something like, I could think of way better things to do than be sitting here watching some plantation mammy. To which she responds that plantation mammy is her mama. And she gets up and she walks out. And Nicholas looks at the screen and is like, wow, that is her mother. She looks like her. Okay. So he runs out and he apologizes. And she goes and says and she says something very prudent that I like in the movie, and it's something that I've stuck with. But it's also something that is also very sad because the fact that we've had to be reduced to that is shitty. But she says to him it was the only job that she could take to get food on the table because she wanted to be on the stage and entertain for her family. And playing a maid is way better than being a maid. Sugar! Honey, she never lied. I would rather play a butler than be a butler. But it sucks that black people had to be reduced to playing maids, whores, junkies, house sitters, babysitters for white people cheering to get roles in movies. That's my point. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, um, let's see. I want to talk about, music. I mentioned that Beyonce is like one of the most influential singers, if not the most influential active singer out right now. I want to talk about how, like I said, black talent has transcended entertainment from music to sports to Hollywood, and I'm going to address to beauty and fashion. I'm going to try to address all of that in this video, but our black talent has transcended entertainment, yet in music specifically, we typically get boxed in and reduced to our own genre or to our own genres. R&B, hip hop, and rap music. You don't really get to see us in a lot of other spaces. I can name 1 to 2 active people in what I like to call the super genres. And what the super genres are the genres of music who are gonna sell no matter what, who are umbrella genres to everything else going on, meaning pop, country, rock, rap. Those are the highest selling genres. Those are the ever present genres. Those are the genres that are never going to go anywhere, right? So I can only name 1 to 2 people in each of those super genres that aren't rap music. I can name Milton Patton for country. I can name Lenny Kravitz for rock and roll, even though Jimi Hendrix is the GOAT. Jimi Hendrix, James Brown are the GOAT. Um, you know, we have Sierra and Normani for pop, even though everybody misses Sierra in her crunk and B bag, but Sierra is a pop artist and she's one of the only black people really representing in pop music right now, other than Normani, who also has a very prevalent R&B flair. And I'm trying to, and pop is hard for me because if you have a, it's very difficult because R&B and pop gets muddled sometimes, where an R&B record can try to get pushed as a pop record even though it's an R&B record. So I'm going to leave pop out of this right now, but I believe we have Sierra and Normani for pop. I want to put Tinashe in that line as well because I feel that she is a transcendent talent, and I feel that she makes music that blends genres just as much as Don Richard does, and FKA Twigs, but that's dance music, but that's a whole nother story. Blending of genres. Anyway, the problem is that we typically get boxed into R&B and rap, which tends to then oversaturate our market because other people can't do other genres, right? If you watch Love and Hip Hop, if you watch anything that K Michelle does, you will see that she's been trying to get this country album done for 5, 6 years now. She's been wanting to do this country record forever. We've all been waiting on the country record. I'm glad she's finally doing the country album and stop giving a doggone damn about what anybody says and do this country music. Thank you, Chris Stapleton, for reaching out and helping her. Thank you, anybody in Nashville who was going to support her. Thank you, anybody in Atlanta, her team in Atlanta who was helping her. I'm ready to hear this damn country music. But she's been bitching about the fact that black women and black people are not accepted in country music. Look at Lil Nas X. We had to lose our damn minds just for him to get a CMA. Because at first he got snatched off for the country records because they said that he wasn't country enough because he wanted to blend genres. But yet it's okay for Taylor Swift to blend pop and country and still be the queen of the CMAs. Oh, hey, Carrie Underwood, you too. Like, you know what? I take that back. Not Carrie Underwood, because Before He Cheats is like one of the only country songs that most of us black people go up for. So, you know what? Carrie Underwood does stay country. Live for you. But Taylor Swift, Nashville didn't get in your ass for blending pop and country and now all of a sudden being the queen of pop. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that every album you've put out since has sold over 1 million copies in a week. I want everybody to win. But at the end of the day, I also want everybody to be able to put out the music that is genuinely authentic to them as well. So this is not an attack on Taylor Swift or anybody specific, but my examples play directly into the point that I'm trying to make. So, love Taylor Swift, do your thing, girl. Anyway, let K Michelle in, girl, because she's finna sing a lot of y'all through the roof. And that's not shade or an attack on anybody. But K Michelle is one of the best voices in this business, and she's also a really great songwriter. And she's getting ready to turn it out in country. So go ahead and make room at the CMAs and slide her picture next to Milton Patton and put her with Chris Stapleton. Okay? Cool. I think, you hear it all the time that, you know what? Speaking of K Michelle, even she's had big ballad records that could be big pop ballads that get stuck on Urban AC. She's talked about this a lot. I've heard a lot of people talk about being stuck on Urban AC. And the problem with being stuck on Urban AC is that not all the music on adult urban contemporary is adult urban contemporary music. There's a lot of music that could be played on pop stations and be promoted in different spaces, but the fact that a black person is making that particular record gets them boxed into urban AC radio. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's a great bag and we love our people, if but if we want to make broader music and the music that we're making isn't the genre that we're being boxed into, we have an issue with that. The point that I was getting to was that there's a lot of records that should be released to pop radio, crossover top 40, that don't get pushed there. And yet, you hear a lot of people complain about the Sam Smiths and the Adeles in the world and the Blue Eyed Soul coming in and replacing what is genuine R&B and putting a white face on it. We've all heard about this. Don't act like it's anything new. Um, People always say, why is it that this person can't release to radio or can't release to pop radio or the top 40, but if Adele sings that song, it's a hit. Or if Sam Smith sings that song, it's a hit. Prime example, I don't know where Donna Summer placed on the charts when I Feel Love came out in the 70s, but I'm sure Sam Smith's version is doing very well right now. And don't get me wrong, I love Sam Smith and he turned the hell out of that version. I listened to it and the visual for it is everything with that purple diamond. But the point that I'm trying to make is we as African American artists get locked into very specific spaces because of the color of our skin and the music that we're making. But if another person does it, then they can come into our realms and our genres. Look, the point that I'm making is this. There's a lot more white people in doing R&B and hip hop music than there is black people doing country music, rock music, and things of that nature. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a lot more of them in our spaces than it is us in their spaces. And that's a very specific point that I'm trying to make. Moving on from music, we're going to go into sports. I don't watch sports, but I can talk about my point within this context. Um, Black athletes make up a majority of the NFL and the NBA, but yet for some reason we aren't treated fairly and we get disregarded for not playing the game the way that they want us to play the game. Right? We aren't taken care of properly. Yeah, we may be paid these millions of dollars, but you hear a lot of stories about how athletes are treated, and it's really kind of disgusting. Like the concussion syndrome thing, all the way down to the most blatant example, which is Colin Kaepernick. Um, you gotta really stop and think about we're making you billions of dollars. We're making you billions and billions of dollars, yet we could get fired at the drop of a dime for peacefully protesting. I want y'all to think about that for a second because I want y'all to tell me what Colin Kaepernick did wrong. Colin Kaepernick did wrong, and I'll wait. Tell me what he did wrong. Tell me what he did to deserve to be fired, and I'll wait. But in solution with that, I'm glad that Jay Z is making the moves that he's making with Rock Nation Sports and his deal with the NFL. Because you know what? I think in some cases we need to divide and conquer. And I think that we need to change the world and change the environment from the inside of these spaces that we're locked out of. You know, a lot of people always say, well, why don't you just go make your own? Which is great. Ice Cube with the big three, that's amazing, and I'm glad you're doing that. Um, I don't know if that's an exclusively black league, but we do also need more black team owners. We need more black people in the NFL boardrooms. So I'm glad that Jay Z is doing the things that he's doing. And subsequently, we see uh, Colin Kaepernick now doing a workout. I have to read more about it to get more details on it. But I see progressive changes that are beginning to happen and steps that are being taken with us now being allowed to come into the rooms and change it from the inside, on top of going out and creating our own spaces for us to thrive. I think that variety is the spice of life. So if we can come in and change the world from the inside, as well as having our own spaces to go out and venture out to, I think that is amazing. Hollywood. I'm gonna run on through Hollywood because I don't want this to be a 2 hour video. Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? The prime example that I'm going to run with is the one that's been in the news for the past 2 years plus, Monique. I'm not going to get into her Oprah, Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry beef and all of that, but what I will say is that specifically within the context of why she's upset and why she was allegedly blackballed or labeled as difficult, um, she was treated unfairly. And the context that I'm putting that in is in Hollywood, the aggressive black woman has been a gold mine for television and film for generations. The take no mess black woman, the tell it like it is, the I keep it real, the this, from movies to scripted television to reality television now. The tell it like it is, take no mess, um, characteristic of a black woman has been put on a pedestal in very specific contexts for a long time. You know, you've heard a lot about people saying, you know, you don't want to mess with her. She don't take no mess, honey. Don't nobody get you together like a black mama. You know what I'm saying? And all of these things are true. But the slippery slope with that is that changes very quickly into that person becoming an angry black woman and being somebody that is intimidating and somebody that is terrifying and somebody that we should be scared of and that we should fear. And I think that that is a situation where you need to be able to allow expression and correction on situations that not only empower you, but check you as well. How Monique fits into that is this. She was labeled as difficult because she was contractually obligated to do the movie Precious. Her deal was with Lee Daniels. She was contractually obligated to do the movie and promote it in the United States. Boom, cut and dry. She did so well promoting the movie in America that they wanted her to take the movie to Cannes because the movie was gaining steam. She had a couple days down. She had a few days off that she wanted to spend with her family because she also had the Monique show, which needs to come back. Sorry. She had the Monique show. She was touring with stand-up comedy. She was in the midst of award season. She was working a lot. She had a couple days down, and she wanted to spend some time with her family. They called her and asked her to go to Cannes for Precious to promote the movie. She respectfully declined. Cool. They tried to get her back, tried to get her back, tried to get her back, tried to up the hotel room, tried to up the flight, tried to do this, tried to do that. She said no. Mind you, to fly over to Cannes and work the promotional trail for this movie is work. It is work that she would be doing for free. Okay? So for her to get off her ass and go over to France, she wanted a coin for it. I don't think that that's wrong. Okay? They said no. Okay, she respectfully declined. On top of backstory on the set and in the production of Precious, where Monique stood up for not only Lee Daniels, but Gabourey Sidibe and others in situations that were ill accommodating. Like, there was a situation that she spoke about where a member of the crew was disrespecting Lee Daniels, saying that he'll do the lights however he wants. And she stood up for him and was like, hey, you need to da 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 da. Hey, you need to respect our director, this, that, and the third. To the point where they were flying Gabourey Sidibe around, and they weren't getting her proper seating arrangements on flights because, you know, she's a heavier woman that takes a different kind of accommodation. She spoke up and had them do this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. She spoke up. Those things were honorable. Those were all things that she was praised for, and things that make her an admirable woman and make her a stand-up lady and this, that, and the third. But then as soon as she used those same characteristics to stand up for herself and for her family, and for her to say that she's not going to travel for free, to take time away from her family for something that she is not contractually obligated to do, for an award that, quiet as it's kept, she didn't really care about winning. People kept trying to shove this Oscar down her throat, and she was not pressed about the Oscar, dog. The NAACP award is what she wanted. That's like me. Like, I do rap music, right? As much as it would be cool to win a Grammy, I want to win a GLAAD award. I want to win an Image award. I want to win a Soul Train award. Those are the awards that I will bust down crying at. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, it's getting oh hell. Hold on. Hold on, girl. Oh. Okay, sorry. I'm using natural light today, mixed with a little yellow light, but the door closed in, and y'all wouldn't be able to see me with just this light bulb, so I had to, you know, pull in some of the elements. But as I was saying, like, she was impressed about winning this Oscar that they kept trying to shove down her throat. And, you know, because they didn't do because she didn't do what they wanted her to do, she then got labeled as difficult. And the people who utilized those take no mess characteristics about her and called her honorable were the same people who jumped on the bandwagon and labeled her as blackballed and labeled her as difficult. So my point to that is the take no mess characteristics, or the I don't take no shit, she's a strong woman, she does this, that, and the third, you know, that is very quickly turned into the angry black woman. I know this very well because as a drag performer, when I first started in this business and I first started performing, I was working in a venue, and there were several occasions where I would stand up for things that were unprofessional and things that were unfairly done to us as performers. And I would be labeled as angry, and I would be labeled as the mean one. And I was very specifically, verbatim, labeled as the angry black bitch in the club, because there was four of us that were on the cast. I was the only black one. Four or five of us on the cast. I was the only black one. And one day the owner of the venue went around, and he gave us all labels. And he got to me and he was like, "You're the angry black bitch." Because I would address things that were unprofessional and things that were unfair to us as performers. Yet my white counterparts would display unprofessional behavior in front of customers, toward the owner, towards us as co-performers, and they would be labeled as, "Oh, that's just them. That's just who they are. That's just how they get down." Um, and it was never a balance of. It was never a balance of action, intention, what it was about. You know what I'm saying? Just because I said something that you didn't like, I'm the angry black bitch. But these people can display very unprofessional behavior and literally curse you the hell out, and that's just who they are. There's got to be a difference there for some. There's got to be a difference there, right? Okay. Do I have any more notes? Cause I'm getting ready to go in now. You know what? I do have more notes. Beauty and fashion. I think that's it. I think that was my last one. Okay. Beauty and fashion. This gonna be my last one, and I'm gonna take y'all up out of here because I'm ready to go on break. Um, Beauty and fashion. We've all heard the term "black don't crack," right? Well, as much as African American beauty has been praised as exotic, or our skin has been labeled as just chocolate and beautiful and buttery and this, that, and the third, when you're trying to give us a compliment, history has directly compared black beauty to that of gorillas, monkeys, animals, black people. We've traditionally been compared to gorillas, animals, monkeys, this, that, and the third. And the reason why I started with black skin being praised is because I'm talking specifically about my experience with white people in person. My experience with white people in person is they will always say how beautiful black skin is. They'll say how black don't crack. They'll say how, black people aging like wine and white people out here aging like milk. I know that's a Charlemagne reference, but I had this conversation days ago, literally days ago. And it was funny because it was her acknowledging that black beauty is gorgeous, and white people have a different kind of beauty, and this, that, and the third, blah blah blah. And this was a white woman talking to me. Okay, great. But why is it that it took Rihanna and a couple other makeup companies just now to recently make people realize that we have damn near 30 shades worth of color just within black people? So we're just now getting all these 40, 50, 90 shades of foundation to match every skin tone of every person of color and this, that, and the third. Why is it just now taking Rihanna and a few other people? I can't think of their names, but I just had them. I don't have them written down, but I had them in my mind a minute ago. That are now acknowledging the range of colored skin. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to take that a step further. Why is it that you typically only see like one black person in a beauty campaign? You know? Um, I'm glad that we have makeup lines dedicated to African American women, and they need to be put up on a higher pedestal. Juvia's Place, I'm glad y'all are finally working with black influencers so I can say something nice about y'all. Because I heard that for a long time y'all wasn't fucking with us. And y'all weren't sending packages to the African American influencers, but yet you were catering your audience to black women. I'm glad y'all are finally working with black influencers so I can say something nice about y'all, because y'all are an amazing company. But yeah, y'all, Iman Cosmetics, Zuri, Zuri, They are a great company as well. There's plenty others that I can't name right now, but those are three that I know off the top of my head. These are great companies that y'all need to get into. And um even down to black beauty being marketable. Like I said, you don't see a lot of people of color with makeup campaigns. I think Tyra was one of the first to get a CoverGirl campaign. I think she was the second woman of color to get a CoverGirl campaign. I believe she was the second. I can't remember the name of the first. I'll have to go back and remember, but I think Tyra was the second. But like, you don't see a lot of women with makeup, like black women with makeup campaigns. You see more. Excuse me. You see more now than you ever have, but you don't see the variety of black women. And usually when you do, it's either she's like my type of brown, where she's like that good old milk chocolate, or she's dark chocolate. Do you understand? That like we come in so many different shades, we need to be ranged. But speaking of Tyra Banks and Black Beauty being marketable, shout out to Bankable Productions. Ooh. But I think she changed out the name of her company to something else. Anyway, Black Beauty being marketable and the stigmatization of there can be more than one black face of fashion or beauty has now caused us to have to endure a 75-year feud that we are never going to not hear about between Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell, because the fashion industry decided to pit Tyra and Naomi against each other. You hear about black women being pitted against each other all the time in music. In fact, you hear about women being pitted against each other all the time in music, but even more over black women and black rappers and black female rappers. But now, in every interview that Tyra Banks does, every E True Hollywood story, every special, every 10-year reunion of something that she does, we're always going to hear about every reunion, every 25-year reunion, every anniversary of something that Tyra Banks, every record that she's broken, we're always going to hear about them asking her about Naomi Campbell and her having to tell this story, which I'm glad that now her perspective on it has changed. I want to give a shout out to her because her perspective on it has changed. And I listened to her, I believe it was Uncensored, where she said that back then her actions hurt me so much and it was very painful and I couldn't understand how she would do things like that, but the grown woman in me understands that she was reacting to an industry that was pitting her against me and that was targeting her. So I can empathize and I can sympathize with that, and I respect Tyra Banks for that because she recognizes what was happening. Tyra Banks sees the optics. She done pulled out the matrix and now she sees what's going on. It's crazy that they were pitted against each other and they looked similar, but they were so different in style. They were just so different, but they were pitted against each other for so long that it caused this feud that we're going to have to hear about until I am 267, because one, y'all won't let it go. And when I say y'all, I mean the media, because I'm sure Tyra is tired of talking about it. Naomi ain't talking about it. In fact, I need to get on Naomi's YouTube channel and see if she done talked about it on one of her videos. I doubt it, but I don't think she talking about it. No shade. Um, yeah, but because y'all won't let it go, now we have to hear about it forever, and we want to let it go. Okay, like just let it go. But with that being said, my point is the things that make us great as black people has oftentimes fueled white hate. And I want to hear from you guys, and I want to see how you guys feel about this video, the things that I mentioned, the examples that I listed, and if you guys have any more examples that you can list in the comments where black people were at one point praised for something and then destroyed for it in probably the same breath. But you guys, this has been it. I'm getting ready to take my break. I've been talking to y'all for about an hour now, and I done went over all my topics, and I don't think I got any more to say. And I need something to drink. I'm getting a little parched. But this has been a POC POV. This is episode 4. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions or suggestions about videos that I've done or videos that you want to see me make, drop down in my comments. Hit me up on social media at Shantae Arnett on all social media platforms. SHAWNTAEARNETTE. Also, get in my comments and let me know, once again, if you have any examples, if you have any questions or suggestions. Be sure to head over to my other series, In My Queer View, where I'm going to be talking about the queer experience as a parallel to the black experience, as well as just my perspective as a queer person and what it's like living within the community. Thank you guys so much. I'll holler at you guys in just a minute. I'm getting ready to go on break because I've been talking forever and I ain't had now a drip of coffee. So thank y'all so much for watching. Do all the things the YouTubers do. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll holler at you guys in a minute. Peace. What's up, babe?